OK, sorry to cut you off. We're breaking now. We're going live to Tel Aviv, where strikes are currently happening. So we're looking at the skyline above Tel Aviv, and this is where Iran is currently firing missiles at Israel. So that's what we're looking at on our screens right now. Earlier on today, President Trump said he knew where the Ayatollah was. He's easily gettable, but he's not going to kill him just yet. He did, however, say that he didn't want to continue to see strikes on civilians. Well, if you indiscriminately fire at Tel Aviv, even though Israel has that Iron Dome, which for the moment, as far as I can tell, sitting here in our studio looking at those footage, that appears to be working, thankfully. But those are attempted strikes on civilians, aren't they? So what will happen now? Iran, for their part, has said, using their state media, tonight something will happen that people will talk about for centuries. So, is this the start of it? We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It looks as though, as well, if you certainly look at the front of The Guardian and on The Telegraph, Trump demands unconditional surrender by Iran as tensions rise. Trump poised to join war on Iran. OK, so I feel as though this could be the start of something quite major tonight. Can I just say as well, it's worth you knowing that when I do my show Late Edition, which is all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages and what's inside the book as well, we're supposed to be going anyway, to Winston Marshall, the former Mumford & Sons star and podcast host, who is in Tel Aviv for us. So it'll be fascinating to get his views. Look, Jamie, what do you make of this? I mean, this is Iran, potentially with the start of what they describe as the kind of bombardment that people are going to talk about for centuries.
Yeah, I mean, your heart breaks for Tel Aviv, personally, and for Israel. That's certainly my position. As a country I've visited many times. And if you think of the fear that people there have been living under, and you watch these scenes, it is so distressing. But frankly, what we have to have order in the world, and we have to have world order. And I am very reassured that we have a president in the White House that believes in law and order and believes in world order. And so, it's a horrible time. It's not a good thing. Okay. It's not something we want to see. The
information that we have at the moment, and obviously this is a developing story, but the information that we have at the moment is that Iran has now fired a wave of ballistic missiles. That's what we're looking at there. So they've gone for the ballistic missiles at Israel, which is again a very, very, very serious thing to be doing. Yeah. So I mean, realistically, what do you see happening now? I mean, it looks as though US fighter jets are poised and ready to go. I mean, this could just be the end of the Ayatollah, I suppose.
Well, I don't think that would be in anyone's interest. Iran is a country of 90 million people. Destabilising countries in the Middle East or removing regimes hasn't exactly gone very well when the West has tried to do it before. That being said, Iran had to retaliate in some visible fashion. The leadership couldn't just let Israel get away with its strikes without some sort of public show. Sometimes I think the logic here is you have to escalate in order to de-escalate. So in order to prevent an all-out war, some sort of catastrophic turn of events like Iran having nuclear-grade weapons, you have to be willing to show your strength, which I'm guessing is the logic here. I hope it pays off because this is extremely scary. There's a lot of criticism that being leveled at Israel, one of which is, where is your proof that Israel is actually, Iran actually has nuclear-grade or close to nuclear-grade uranium. Okay. Again, we just have to wait and see. Okay. But it's a very tense...
Jonathan, look, I totally get that clearly President Trump is not your favourite human being, but presumably you prefer him to the Ayatollah.
What a ludicrous question. I mean, Trump was democratically elected, but he was elected, Patrick, on a platform of no more forever wars, no more wars, America first. And this is the first real split that I've seen in the MAGA movement, because you have people who I find utterly detestable and ridiculous, such as Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is actually, stop clock and all that, is making a reasonable sort of, ideological point that says we do not want to commit blood and treasure to a war that is not our war, sort of sending American troops, American missiles to fight Israel's war. Why would we do that? People like Candace Owens, again, so it's not someone who I normally have much in common with, who's asking why America is about to fight a war on behalf of Netanyahu, which Netanyahu has launched to save his career. And there is no evidence that Iran was about to have a nuclear weapon. And by the way, Iran hasn't attacked anyone for about 200 years. There's no...
we're looking at it.
Well, Iran hadn't attacked anyone.
Sorry, hang on.
Iran has retaliated to an Israeli strike.
it. Iran has got proxies. Some of those proxies are things like Hamas. Some of those things are things like the Houthis. Some of those proxies are things like Hezbollah. So Iran has attacked loads of people.
Look, I would never defend the Iranian regime. Clearly, it is a despicable, theocratic regime that has immiserated the Iranian people. And actually, if you talk to the Iranian people, they have protested many, many times against the Iranian regime. It is not, however, and I can't believe that we are having to relitigate this argument 22 years after Iraq, but that does not mean that they want to be bombed, and does not mean they want Western leaders to come and completely destabilise the country and get rid of the leadership. Because the thing with Israel is that it knows how to kill people. It never has a plan for what comes after. So we still don't know what the plan is for after Gaza.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. There will be a lot of people watching this show right now, I imagine, who are a little bit sceptical about whether or not getting rid of another Middle Eastern leader is indeed a good thing, and I accept that point of view. However, I also think if you had a bloodthirsty death cult led by a rabid Islamist like the Ayatollah, maybe it is better if that person gets slotted. But well, the breaking news tonight is, according to the American broadcaster NBC, President Trump is considering a range of options on Iran, including US strikes. And according to social media as well, Israel is saying now that the US could join their war against Iran, quote, as early as tonight. And in fact, earlier today, he called for the unconditional surrender of Iran as the country's war with Israel entered its fifth day. Writing on social media, the president of the US said, "We know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He's an easy target, but is safe there. We're not going to take him out, at least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin." Now, again, the development in the last few minutes on that is that the US has placed all of its military bases in the Middle East on high alert this evening. So if they are struck, the implication there is that they'll just slot the Ayatollah. But in a second post, he called for the unconditional surrender of Iran. The Israeli military and its forces struck on several locations in western Iran earlier today. They hit dozens of missile launchers. And this was the astonishing moment yesterday that Iran's state broadcaster was hit live on air.
فضای غبارآلوده استادیوم.
I don't know about you, but I think I could keep watching that over and over again. I'm joined now by the former British military intelligence officer. It's Philip Ingram. Philip, thank you very much. Tremendous to see you. Right, please do educate us all, really, on what is going to happen tonight. Have you got any ideas?
I've no idea whatsoever. I can speculate. We have to put this into context. Iran has been trying to develop a nuclear warhead. It's put a number of warnings out. A couple of months ago, Donald Trump talked to Vladimir Putin supposedly about Ukraine. That's all we reported. In that conversation, he actually asked Vladimir Putin to make sure that he didn't supply anything to Iran that could destroy Israel. Israel has been concerned about the development of Iran's nuclear weapons, and we've had intelligence to suggest that Iran's nuclear proliferation has got more advanced than people had assessed it to be. And that's what stimulated Israel's attack last Friday against Iranian nuclear facilities, Iranian senior military staffs, and Iranian strategic ballistic missile launchers. And it's escalated since then. I think now Donald Trump is concerned that Iran may still be able to put together a nuclear warhead. But the other bigger thing is that Iran could close the Straits of Hormuz, where 20 to 30% of the world's oil and gas goes through. And Iran has actually, on their Twitter feed earlier this evening, threatened that they will close that. So that's what will be concerning Donald Trump.
Just on that, actually, shortly, while I was in the advert break before this section, I saw a tweet from Iranian state TV, which said, "Tonight a surprise is coming that people will talk about for centuries." Yeah. I mean, any idea what that is?
I don't. Iran is very good at putting out these sorts of things. I've seen tweets today coming out from Iranian official channels where you've got senior people stroking toys with that are model atomic bombs and things like that. They're winding the West up. They're putting an awful lot of rhetoric out against Israel. They've put a lot of rhetoric out against the West. They've said that they will attack Western countries if those Western countries come in support of Israel and Israel's actions against Iran. That is not de-escalation. That is ramping it up. And with Donald Trump, you don't ramp things up like that. And we've seen the deployment of tens of air tankers from the United States into Europe and into the Middle East. Each one of those will probably have 4 or 5 fighter bomber jets following it. We've seen the redeployment of the US carrier groups into the region as well. It's all setting up for a big conflict. And well, of course, we've got on Diego Garcia in the Chagos Islands. We all know where the Chagos Islands are now. 21 B-2 bombers that can carry what's called the mother of all bombs. And it's that bomb that can penetrate down into the very deep tunnels that Iran's got its nuclear facilities in.
Just very quickly, if that's okay. It's all very well and good people saying, well, the world would probably be a better place without the Ayatollah in it. But have we not learned something from previous, forays into the Middle East where we've thought, all right, Saddam Hussein, clearly not a great guy, got rid of him. It's actually got worse, hasn't it? And you look at the situation in Syria, it's not been great for a long time. Do you see what I'm getting at here? Is this the right thing to actually do?
You're 100% right in your analysis. It's very difficult to work out whether it's the right thing to do. The one thing about Iran is a sponsor of terrorism across the Middle East, instability across the Middle East, and terrorism across the world. It is Iran that has enabled Hamas, Iran that enabled Hezbollah, Iran that's enabled the different groups inside Iraq, Iran that's enabled the Houthis in Yemen. Therefore, it's Iran that's behind an awful lot of the ills that there are in the world at the moment. And that's down to the Grand Ayatollah and the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps.
OK, fair enough, Philip. Thank you very much. Look, take care, and we'll have to watch out what happens this evening, won't we? Philip Ingram there, former British military intelligence officer. Take care. Until next time.